All right, folks, welcome back. This story that I'm about to tell you, this next one, is really remarkable. We're about to meet a man whose life was forever changed 24 years ago. But that didn't stop him from realizing his God-given talent. Take a look.
Red Max Entertainment, turning music into memories.
I am the bipolar rock and roller. If you found your way to the page, congratulations. I am the bipolar rock and roller, also known as Scott Blevins. For 13 years, I was a professional fighter around the world, and fought in Bismarck, North Dakota for my last fight. Fought George Elliott. It was a setup fight, actually, and George was a hell of a competitor. Originated from Team Apocalypse out of Arizona, and of course accumulated over the years with California and other states. I was with the athletic commissions and effort. I'm a licensed professional, and I do not suggest it to a lot of people to go out there and just fight. When you have to fight to make ends meet, that's a different concept. And with Steve Rock's radio show, Hollywood, California, I am the concert reporter. So congratulations, you've made it to the page. Spent 4 years with Steve, and Steve is a really great man when he discovered me. And I love working with Steve, and you know, one of the biggest things is I've done a lot of shows with rock bands, and one of my favorites to work hadn't been one to work with was Quiet Riot, and Frankie Banali passed away on us this last year. He was actually the drummer, one of the originals of Quiet Riot, and I feel bad for Regina and his daughter of the passing of Frankie Banali from cancer, actually. And 14 years ago, probably about 14 years ago, I met Neil McCoy, and Neil's a great friend over at Longview, Texas, and you'll see him quite a bit here on the page. One thing that we work with hand in hand and try to do stuff with Grand Ole Opry. I am a member of Grand Ole Opry, and it's been a great honor. At 9 years old, I met Johnny Cash. And he stayed in the same hotel with me and my parents, and it's too bad that we have Johnny gone, and the Man in Black, and his wife and stuff over at the museum, at the Cash Museum. Great bunch of people, and we've done stuff, worked with Randy Travis. Mary and Randy are great people, and Randy had a stroke, and believe it or not, I had a stroke on my brain. 2019 maybe, I think it was around 2019, and I had a vertebral artery dissection. Chiropractic actually broke the artery of the vertebral, which is behind the neck, and it was a close one. I really thought I was going to be a goner. And, you know, I've battled my life over with 9 surgeries over the years, and I'm surprised I made it through. One of the worst ones I've had was a pulmonary embolism, and after before that, I had kidney failure. One of the biggest things that I had with the lung surgeries, though, happened in 2012. I had spontaneous pneumothorax, and it collapsed my lung, and it's really hard to say what was the cause of those, because I've heard different stories from doctors. So if you made it really to the page, it's an honor. When I was doing professional fighting, of course, I transitioned to being the UFC underdog. And back in the day, I fought Zach the Shadow Jenkins. And, you know, they stole emails from me, and they knew I was onto something. And Dana White, of course, stole my credit and gave it to other fighters for what I created. The UFC merger didn't happen until after UFC 19. Of course, Dana White had purchased out WEC and Versus on Spike TV, And I fought Chico Kumas, believe it or not, with the Duke Rufus camp, and Chico got his UFC debut after defeating me. And I, congratulations to Chico for that, and Duke Rufus and his wife Tammy. I know a lot of people around the world, and we work in hand to try to help people. That's what I do, because I know what it's like when nobody has ever given you a chance, gave you the benefit of the doubt, the possibility you could become something great, and I'm living proof of it. A lot of it over on our YouTube channel. If you want to be a movie and actor, I could tell you everything backhand, how to read scripts, and my life's not, a made-up thing. And over the years, I worked with Jackal and Quiet Riot and Brett Michaels, Alabama, Blake Shelton, Luke Bryan, some of the biggest stars that's out there in country music, rock music, the Jet Beats, Gunslinger Doug Holt. He's a great guy. Doug's from Indiana, so I just suggest you to look him up. And Doug's a really close friend. My life is not by mistake. I think my career found me, and you'll find your career because they'll find you. You don't have to go looking for it sometimes. And it's a great honor to be able to share my life with you all. So, rock and roll takes over at Steve Rock's radio show. Everything in life is transitioning, and good shout out to Loretta Lynn and Taylor over at Loretta Lynn Ranch. Great woman. Wish I got to do a lot of shows with her over the years, and I didn't. You guys will have to check us out over on our YouTube channel. It's been a great honor to meet and do work with a lot of these bands, and I look forward maybe doing more for 2020. Of course, a couple years ago, I think, not last year, but the year before last, of course, I was with Lita Ford and then Jackal at one of the Harley dealership events. And then, of course, before that, I was also with Montgomery Gentry. And then Saving Abel, I was the opening stage for Saving Abel, and great bunch of people over at Mississippi. So yeah, that's who I am. And again, if you made it to the page, congratulations. I am the bipolar rock and roller, and if I don't respond sometimes, it's because I can't, and I have to have my life, and I hope you understand that. It's not just so much of a business effort, and I got to have my personal space sometimes too, and I'm just as human as everybody else. And I love my kids, and that's a whole different story. But one aspect is, it's been an honor over the years, and I wish they didn't really destroy the other page that we had, because it told everything about my life. It's been pinch in the rear, because I never thought, at one time I thought I'd become a professional, and that's what I did. I become a professional, and since that, I worked very hard for everything in my life. Not so much of having it easy, but it's been a very big challenge. I will leave stated that for the most part. And of course, stuff I've done with Ted Nugent. Was the Animaniac. Ted's a great guy over in Michigan, and I like Shemaine and Ted, and over the years, does stuff in regards to them, and become good friends with Rocco and Shemaine and Ted, and it's been a dream come true for a lot of stuff I've done over the years, and we hope to be able to share a lot of it here on social media with you guys. So here you guys go. I hope you guys get to learn more about me, in my life, and it's not something that's particularly made up. It's real, because I'm real. And so if you get to see the video, this is pre-recorded in a sense, doing an interview more or less for the social media, so you guys can learn who I am and about my life. it's a documentary, and hopefully we can do some more stuff with the country and rock bands, and it's been a great honor. It really has. So, see you guys around. Hopefully we can answer a lot of the questions here on social media aspect of who I am. So, see you guys later, and check us out over at Steve Rock's radio show. And thanks for all the support over on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, of course. A lot of guys, like to challenge me, and I understand that, because life is a battle, and it's a fight. It's an aspect of who's better than everybody, but not in my world, because just as equal and just as good as anybody else. So are you. You matter. Check us also over at the U-Rock Foundation. Joseph takes care of that, and Joseph's a really great guy that I've worked with numerous times, of course. One aspect, I was one of the also models for Harley Davidson. I'm also with different organizations all over the world, and if you got an organization and hit us up, and we'd be glad to try to work with you guys on in one sense of the matter. So have a good one, y'all, and thanks for the love and support. And thanks for the interview. And so I started my career as a professional fighter, and those fights were a lot of them were set up. And I'm originally from Warsaw, Indiana, and over time, of course, I've been all over different states, and pretty much, I started with my career. It kicked off with Jesse James Dupree with Jackal. Then in 2015, Blackstone Cherry out of Kentucky, and Kentucky Headhunters. And I originally met Kentucky, excuse me here, stage fright, Kentucky Headhunters. I met them originally when I was 13 years old. I was on my way to Chicago, Illinois, in an effort to go to the museum. And I met with them, of course, at a Harley dealership. And friends of mine, Mike Brandt, and his fiance, 30-some years, believe it or not. And so they brought me in because they knew I wanted to change my career, and that's what I did. And I caught up with Fred and then Greg, and Greg Martin and Fred Young. And I mentioned, I was like, said something to, I think it was Fred. No, it was Greg. I said something to Greg. I was like, so many years ago, and we're talking 2015, I must have been in my 30s. I'm 43 now. And so I said to Greg, and I said, do you remember a semi falling off of a loft of a highway? I can't remember if it was 80, 90, in this skyway of Chicago. I just remember the packed up, I remember being so backed up, and I remember my mom says, look at that van, or bus. Excuse me, I was quite young. I must have been, 13 years old, and I spent 2 years in a military orphanage called Sailors and Soldiers Children's Home. But when I came home, my mom wanted to go to Chicago, and it was an experience. Got up to walking, me and my sister were walking up to the bus. That's what it was. It was the bus, and here comes Fred jumping out of that bus, and just first thing you can tell, you can tell Fred from miles away. Fred's got these handlebars, and Fred's a really funny guy. He's a really great drummer and entertainer, and essence to the Kentucky Headhunters, because they're Grammy Award winners from with Grand Ole Opry, and it's been an honor to do an event, following and doing stuff with them. And Greg must have remembered that incident, and he probably wouldn't remember me out of all the hundreds of people surrounded around the bus. But if he did, he sure enough knew who I was. And so we got to talking and stuff that I've done over the years and stuff. And that particular day, Blackstone Cherry, Ben and Chris and Jonathan Lon Hahn and John Fred and Chris Robertson. I mean, it was a great event, and one of the biggest songs that I liked. I think there's two songs that I liked really out of the album that they had really done, maybe three. One was Me and Mary Jane. That's one of my favorite ones, and then Blame It on a Boom Boom, and that's where with my career with the Kentucky Headhunters that started out with them. Was in 2015, and here we are in 2021, and Greg is a really inspiring guitarist and very talented. He does a show with the radio show that he runs with over in Kentucky, in I think it's Glasgow. Yeah, an effort, the careers, and Richard does a lot of it, and Richard's a really great guy. He loves his cigars, and then of course there's Doug Phillips, and over the years, I really got to get to know these guys a little bit too much, not in the sense that put my priority as my life into their hands and their careers and lives in my hands, and they don't work that way, and we're artists in one sense, and I'm really an artist, and never in my life I thought I could ever make a big career out of this, and in a sense that it was a gateway and leads into with shows with Brett Michaels from Poison, and Brett's over in Arizona, and he's got some issues that's going on with his kids, his mom, and I don't get in too far into Brett's business. I mean, he's a diabetic, and I've had my shares of health problems, and I've managed. I mean, I don't know how. My first surgeries and my lung surgeries, I died, and I woke up to my kids and never knew that I had died, and then I found out through grabbing actually my pelvic records, and then I found out my lungs were destroyed. My right lung was destroyed. After I had probably about 20 some holes, and they didn't get everything clamped and in order to seal it up, and 4 days apart I ended up having another lung surgery, and I woke up in a hot church. I went to go have a breakfast at a restaurant, and I didn't get to eat, and next thing you know, they said I paid for the food, didn't get to eat. I walked across the street, and I remember waking up to paramedics, and I don't know if I was close to death at that point. I remember being rushed back to the hospital, to a local hospital, and effort to stick another chest tube inside of me, and that was pretty painful after just having surgeries and having a tube taken out of you after they had already put one in you, because they go in between the rib cage, and that was very, very painful and excruciating, because I was on a morphine pump, and didn't think I was going to make it out of there. And I think it was in January 7th of 2013 is when I came home. December 21st of 2012 was about around the time that this happened. I just got out of bed, and boom, my lungs collapsed, and I couldn't breathe. And it was a bad experience. And You know, the more I think about looking back at that time, there's a reason for everything in life, and there's a learning experience, of course. And, at one point, of course, I had a pulmonary embolism. I can't remember if it was in 2014. And I had rhabdomyolysis. I was working out, cross-training, and shut down my kidneys. I had electrolyte disorder. Myoglobin releases from the brain because blood fibers leaks into your muscle fibers leaks into your bloodstream. That's what it was, and releases myoglobin, and it shut down on my kidneys. Where it was just getting ready to put me on dialysis. I was really, really, really close, and it was really scary circumstances, and passed it through. I had 17 strokes that day. I took about 17, 18, 19, 20, about 20-some showers, and because I was having strokes, and I didn't know it. I was having many strokes. My body was actually kind of funny, you know. And later on in life, of course, I spent 4 years in oncology in a cancer center for monitoring of my blood, and the polycythemia vera. They had to do a phlebotomy because there's not a cure. There's a treatment, and that's a phlebotomy. And I did a phlebotomy in an effort to try to bring my red cell count down. My red cells were really, really high, and it's because, well, they were going to do a bone marrow biopsy, and at that time they were wanting to drill in my hip. And the good thing, I really pushed it out as far as I could, because what happened was I ended up doing it by blood. I never used to be able to do that, I guess. And I beat it, and it was another close encounter. And then turned around, I went to see a chiropractor, and I've known the family for a long time, the dad and the daughter, and she's the one that did it. After she cracked my, adjusted my neck, she went back and I asked her to readjust it, because it didn't feel like it was like either like in place, with alignment of your body and your back and stuff. And she did it again. You know, at that point, of course, it stripped the vertebral artery. The vertebral artery. They call it the vertebral artery dissection because it spliced right down, and it takes a lot of torque, a lot of manipulating through the neck, and that's what happened. And I had a headache. Didn't know what was going on. A really bad headache, and took me to the hospital. And that's when they had said that the vertebral I developed a blood clot, and it could kill me. And when they got me transferred to a city, a bigger hospital, they had started me on some blood thinners, of course, heparin, and I can't remember which one it was. They had me on like a bunch, and yeah, I've been on four or five different blood thinners in my life. Because Xarelto is one of them. That's a pulmonary embolism medicine. Coumadin, maybe? No. They had to thin out the blood. Maybe it was Coumadin. And then that's when I had a stroke. It was either the blood clot was going to go to my brain and release itself, or I could take the blood thinner and release it, and it still was going to, do something to me. And I ended up having a stroke, and a mini stroke to the brain. And I lost some of my memory, and I had to gain it back, of course. And just took over, some time to do that. I think it was like 2018, 2019 when it happened. And with statutes of limitations, of course, with malpractice, you got a 2-year open door. And if you don't do it within the 2 years, you don't have nothing, basically. And that's what happened. Ran out of time. Every lawyer I found, they were scared because I was going after a hospital, I was going after doctors, a chiropractic, and I had 2 lawsuits, basically. And nobody was balls enough to take on a hospital, especially one that had a lot of money, a lot of lawyers. And So I mean, it was a battle, and you know, I'm glad I made it through this, and I would never hope that, you know, I would have to go through this ever again in my life. But the music business became a part of me. Working with Blake Shelton has been a really great honor. Stuff that, you know, in effort, and we did one video, of course, in the summer of 2020. With this pandemic, of course, with the COVID-19, it was a funny video. In essence, to Adam Levine. So Gwen Stefani just learned about your pretty much basically his dick's small. It was funny though. And after we did this video, and it had a lot of comments in regards to it, but you know, Blake was introducing me to the world, and he's a dear close friend, and he's a really big named into the music industry, and that's how it all really, in a way, in essence of, you know, country music. And the country music's always been a part of my life, because of when I was a child at 9 years old, I met with Johnny Cash, and he stayed in the same hotel. Then I got to know Wade Jennings, which is Waylon Jennings' grandson, and of course got a little bit talking, of course, back and forth with Loretta Lynn's granddaughter, which is Taylor, and I think we just pretty much knew who everybody in this business, and that's where it all kicked off. And what do I want to say? Would I do anything different? No, I probably wouldn't. And I do apologize if I allow you any of the questions, because I pretty much already know what you written down and what you wanted to ask. But in the sense of this interview, of course, I did an interview regards with Rachel's Ravishing Reviews. Rachel's an awesome person over at Pennsylvania, and you know, we were trying to get into Dateline, NBC, Jimmy Fallon, some of the bigger shows TV-wise, and I'm still working on it, and it's just a matter of time. You know, they pick up that tab. Fox, Fox and Friends, you know. I've done a little bit of shows, in essence of the Randy Travis, Randy Trewick, down he's out of Texas. I think he's originally from North Carolina. I got to be friends with Mary at one point, and I don't talk to Mary as much as I used to, probably, in essence of what's going on with Randy, because Randy had a stroke, and you know, he's an astonishing entertainer, and essence to a lot of the country music bands and rock bands. Is, you know, one of the big ones, they're not that big, but they're making their way, and that's called the Jet Beats. And of course, I've worked with the Infatuations, and they done shows with Kid Rock, Robert Ritchie, and you know, Robert Ritchie, he's in Tennessee, and different sections actually, and of course his son's over at Michigan, and it's been a great honor, it really has. And stuff with Alan Jackson, I mean, his wife Denise, and there's the three daughters they have, and my life is it's a story, and it's been a book, and I've been honored to be able to share a lot of it on the social media, of course on Twitter. Blake's on Twitter, but it is really Blake. Luke Combs, he is a really great singer. I like Luke Combs, and we did a video, of course, a while back in effort with CMT TV, and I believe Brooks and Dunn. We were doing that one. It was fun. And is there anything you want to share? Okay, I got it. Shy. First time interviewers, huh? Okay. So we're going to close it out, and you know, I appreciate the opportunity to do this interview, of course, and thank you. And my family, I love you guys. I love my kids. I don't see them as much as I should. I'm grandpa. I have 2 little grandkids, Hunter and Chloe, and then my kids are Kyla and Braxton. Then I have Donovan with a nurse, and then I have a daughter, and she's 8 years old or better, and she's in the state of Vermont. Long story. I think women take the concept and you know, they think they can play with my head, and that's what happened over the years. And well, it happens. But I appreciate the interview. Thank you so much.
Red Max Entertainment, turning music into memories.